Hello people, welcome back to another week of Andres Talks. Really excited to be with you guys again one more week. This week has had a lot of build up from the beginning towards the end. It's gonna impact a lot into the last quarter for me personally and for the company I work for. So I think today's video is pretty much self-explanatory. We're gonna talk about decision making. How can you ensure to make the best decision out of a possible situation and not be wrong about it? So the short answer is you can't always be sure. See you guys next week. I'm just messing with you. Let's get on with the video. So we have a framework for identifying problems, trying to narrow down, collect the information, get the data, get the facts, right? And then sort of identify alternatives, execute chosen alternative, and then reevaluate the results, right? You can assess the situation, say, okay, whatever I chose to do makes sense, or whatever I chose to do is completely wrong. So I'm just gonna pivot and do 180 degrees from this decision that I did. So that's one thing that you could do. And I think it's very logical. It's like a scientific method approach, right? You have a hypothesis, you test it out, and you make sure, okay, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Could be, right? Maybe you just need to amp it up a little, tone it down, whatever. The point here is sometimes in life you don't have that iterative luxury, right? You don't have this benefit of, okay, maybe I can just try something, and if it works, you're gonna adjust. Sometimes in life you have crossroads, right? You're forced to choose left or right. You're forced to choose do this or don't do this, and you have to stick with that decision. Now, what I can tell you, making these decisions itself takes a lot of energy, mental energy, right? So people more often than not don't think about this. You have to pretty much amp yourself, right? Be ready, be in a mental state where you're open, you have clarity to see the facts and not be influenced by emotion, and then you can have a subjective decision at the end, because we are emotional beings. While we have to try to make the very logical decision always, most of the times we can't. So sometimes you have to choose by your guts. You have a gut feeling, you have a feeling in your chest, and you just know you have to do something and it's right. There's this inner voice that we have, and most of us in our adult life stop listening to this voice. Most of us don't really intentionally make decisions. We sort of postpone them until it's either too late to really make the right one, or we just hope it goes away. Reality is that things never, hardly ever just go away. You have to tackle them, right? You have to face them. In Spain, we have a saying, take the bull by the horns, right? And that's how you should approach things, because if not, then you just get stomped away, right? So that's the key, I think, to have a successful decision-making process. Make sure to deal with it. In order to deal with it, like I said before, you have to make sure you have the energy to do that, the clarity. Sometimes that would mean, okay, maybe I need some time to think about it, but don't take too long. You see, when we take too long, sometimes things can just be, they don't get cleared out, so it creates anxiety, and this anxiety paralyzes people. I've been paralyzed by this process of postponing an important decision, and it hurts our capacity or capability of developing, of going forward in everyday life. It's like we're driving a car, but one of the tires is sort of locked, right? So no matter how much we just try to correct course, because there's like 3 wheels that are in the correct way, but one is not, we go around in circles. And that's what happens when you don't decide things, right? You have to make sure that you dedicate some mental effort to decide, and once you decide, just think, okay, this decision had to be made and you have to accept it, right? There is a great saying by Theodore Roosevelt, one of United States former presidents, who says, do what you can with what you have and don't worry about the rest. This is very powerful. It's a very simple phrase, but it really unlocks a lot of our self-limitations and self-doubts. You really can't do much more than that. At the end, you're just human. At the end, you just have to make the best of what you got at the moment, and just be thankful for that and keep going with it. And I think that's how you can make the best decisions. My recommendation is just always frame it in this way. Instead of saying that, I could have done this, or maybe if I try more options, or maybe, and you just get paralyzed. If you are someone like that, just think, okay, if I had to advise a friend that was in the exact same position and they had to make a decision, right, with the information that I have got, what would I advise them to do? And treat yourself like you are your own friend. And that way, probably it's gonna get easier. Then you're gonna get more confidence and you'll be able to make decisions on the fly. You're not gonna be sort of like this analysis paralysis that most of us get sometimes. Important things or unknown things that we're doing with the first time. So it's fine. It's a natural process of life, and you learn as you go. You make sure to improve. Always keep that in mindset, right? The Kaizen principle that the Japanese have of always improving. That's just something that you have to ingrain. I advise greatly that you do. And well, lastly, I want to say, just briefly touch on the part of, okay, not making a decision is also a decision. This one is a big pill to swallow. And the reason why we naturally don't accept this is because, well, humans have this natural pathway of always doing the less resistance path and trying to achieve the same results with less effort. And if you think about it, that's smart, that's intelligent. You have to prioritize your resources and get the most of the results, but you shouldn't apply this to decision making, because when you don't accept that, you know, postponing a decision or not making a decision is also a decision, then you let go of this empowerment, let's call it, this responsibility, this control that you have in your life. So it's like you just refuse to take it and you hand it over. So the universe, life, God, fate, whatever you want to call it, sort of rolls the dice and you get whatever, one of the random possibilities. And guess what? If you're very honest with yourself, maybe that's not what you really wanted. But it takes courage, right? It takes courage to accept that not making a decision is also a decision. It takes some cojones, like we say here in Spain. There's no way around not having that, and it's gonna be painful, but again, as you keep making certain decisions in life, then they become easier and you also learn to accept what you've chosen. I want to leave you with this, right? If you're very anxious about making the right decisions, think about it like, in the end, right, ultimately we are here today, and today is all you have. Like we have 86,400 seconds a day, which we sleep most probably a third of that. So you only have that, really. That's pretty much what's being given to you. Tomorrow is not promised. Always accept the decisions that you make. Try to stick to them, as painful as they can be. Do not self-doubt, because that's a trap as well. And just keep going. As you keep going, you'll find yourself making better decisions. So yeah, that's it for today's video. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I would appreciate if you hit the thumbs up, if you share it with your friends, if you commented, give me some of your honest feedback and what has been one of the toughest decisions that you had to address in your life, and the process of how you did it, right? I think it's going to be very beneficial for everybody in terms of what you did around it and how you successfully moved the decision, right? So yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next week.